Hey there, Citizen Pally here, and welcome back. It's time for a quick tutorial talking about trading within Star Citizen, moving some cargo in order to make some money. Obviously, the simple concepts of trade is quite simple. We don't need to go over that too much. You buy low, you sell high, you make profit. That's the whole concept of it. But there is some systems within Star Citizen you kind of have to work around, understand the terminals act a little funky sometimes in order to make the most out of this, in order to really get it to work. Okay, let's start with, first of all, you need a ship currently stored or docked, landed at the station that you're going to get. So you'll know this if your ship's on the landing pad or whatever, or if you go up to the ship terminal and you look, it'll say at location Hurston, Olisar, whatever. A ship can also be sort of in limbo. So if we look here in the terminal, the trading terminal, when we bring it up here, you're going to see that the Aurora MR is not available to us. And that's going to be because the Aurora is currently docked at Hurston, I believe. Yeah, so I'm pretty sure it's at Hurston. It doesn't really matter. But you see here, we can see the Hornet, we can see the Cutlass, the Freelancer, and the Aquila. So these ships are either currently claimed to Port Olisar like we are right now, or they're not claimed at all. It's one of those two type of things depending on how the insurance works. So if we come back over here now and we scroll through here and we find the Aurora, there it is. You can see the Aurora, it's currently stored at Hurston. But if we insurance claim it, once the insurance claim starts and goes through, we'll go ahead and pay the expedited fee. Once it goes through, that ship's now sort of in limbo state. It can be considered anywhere. So if we went to Hurston, we could pick up and put cargo into it, but we can also do it right here at Port Olisar. But once we put cargo in here at Port Olisar, it's now considered to be at Port Olisar. So if we step back in here and look at the terminal now, you'll see right there's the Aurora MR with its massive 3 SCU of cargo capacity. So that's the first thing. Your ship has to be there. Let's go ahead and we will just take the Freelancer here. It's a good middle size, common cargo hauling ship that we'll take out. Now, the next thing is what commodities, where to buy them at, and where to sell them. And for this, I'll overlay up here a little bit of a spreadsheet. So there is a community Google document that gets updated with the spreadsheet with all the different patches. It'll also be linked in the description down below. It's a good quick way to go and you look at, here's the commodities you can buy for it, here's what you can sell for it, and here's what you're going to get. Being that we're here at Port Olisar, we only have two options. We have medical supplies and waste. Waste, there's nowhere we can really sell that for anything, so we'll go ahead and we're going to take medical supplies. And those medical supplies we can sell to a number of different places. This isn't the most efficient route, but for our purposes, we're just going to run it out to one of the R&R stops. We got the L1 very close here to Hurston. It'll take us all of 2 minutes to travel out there, and we can sell the medical supplies for a slight gain. It's not a whole lot, but there is a little bit to it. Now, the next thing you have to understand is one unit does not always equal one SCU. In fact, in most cases, it doesn't. So one medical supply right now costs us $17 and 17.02 alpha UEC, right? But if we buy just one, we're only getting 1/100th of a single SCU, whereas our ship can actually hold 66 SCUs. And that's just based off what we currently know. If we drive this across, so you can see, if we go max amount, we get 6,600 units, which fills up 66 SCU, and that's going to cost us 112,329 credits. If we go ahead and we lowered that down a little bit, rather than being the 6,600, if we made it that 6,599, it would still take up the full theoretical cargo of 66 SCUs. Likewise, if we bought just one of those units, it uses up one full SCU. So what's going on is, rather than have 6,600 of these allocated and accounted for on the server, in the back of your ship or whatever, what they're doing is they're breaking them down into much larger containers. So if you buy one unit, you get one SCU, but you get one unit within that SCU. If you buy 99, you get one SCU. They're all in that thing. The 100th is still going to be one SCU. 101 would be the second SCU. So by doing this, you kind of want to find that balance where it doesn't make much sense. Like if you're trying to do, say, a multi-cargo run, right? Say you're going to be taking, you're using the Aurora, right? And you have your 3 SCU. And you want to run 3 different cargo. It doesn't make sense to run half of an SCU of one cargo because you can't do 2.5 SCU of the other one. No matter what, it's just going to, that one half is going to take up the full thing. So you just want to keep that in mind. You want to probably get as close to full SCUs as you can. To make this a little bit easier, when you're dragging this bar back and forth, especially when you have lots of cargo space you can work with, get it somewhat close to where you want it to be. Leave the mouse in sort of that central window where you can select it, where the drag bar is. And if you have it in there, you can then use the left and right arrow keys on your keyboard to change 1 units at a time. For some of the terminals, the mouse wheel also works. I think Levski it works for, and also Grim Hex. For some reason, it doesn't work at Port Olisar. But you can, once you're in there, you left and right mouse in order to get it. When you're happy with what you're going to do, go ahead and purchase, and it will end up in the ship. At this point, all we have to do is we need to go out. We need to summon our ship because it wasn't on the landing pad, so summon the Freelancer. And we go out to the Freelancer. It should have all of our cargo in it. I was just looking here. I forgot that you can actually see the cargo capacities of your ship in this terminal. It does actually say it. So if you're not sure, like if you have multiple ships or whatever and you forget what the cargo capacity is, you can actually see right there on the ship terminal what it is what the capacity of your ships are. So heading out to B02. And when we get out here, it's going to be packed to the brim with medical supplies. As we do this little walk across, some things to think about. So profit on trade isn't very good unless you're running minimum of a Caterpillar, with one exception of one cargo being the Widow. For everything else, you got to kind of keep in mind, like right now we're taking these out and they cost us what, 14 something, like 14.89 I think, and we're going to be able to sell them for like 15.10 or something. So we're going to make like 22 cents per unit or something that we sold. It's not a whole lot. For this entire trip, we'd make like 6,000 credits, give or take, somewhere in that ballpark, 6,000, 6,500 credits for selling all of these medical supplies, which is going to take a little bit longer than it initially seems. The travel time to the R&R isn't all that long, but one of the things is, while a location might buy a unit or buy a product, they only buy certain amounts of it. Now the cooldown is relatively quick, but it means you do spend some time sitting there selling the product off by 1,000 at a time, 200 at a time, 100 at a time. It really depends. So those are different things to take into account. Like 6,600 credits, if it was 2 minutes, isn't that bad. But 6,000 credits, if it's 15 minutes, well, you could do 2-3 bounty hunting missions in that amount of time and come away with more credits. So let's go ahead and we'll quantum travel out here to the R&R station real quick, and then we will be back. Okay, here we are. We've come out now. Something, I don't remember if I've shown this before, but if you're trying to travel to some of these stations that are a little bit harder to find or everything, and you come out and you got that sun glare in your face or whatever, go ahead and do a ping. Hit tab by default, open up your scanner, send out a ping and everything. It should highlight it for you. You can make it a little bit easier. It really depends on your approach and where the sun is. Sometimes these things can be a real pain in the butt to see as they end up just in the glare of the sun. But once we get close enough, we'll go ahead and see some ships there and everything. That'll help us guide in. Okay, as we come in, talk a little bit more about what I was explaining. So I just looked it up as we were traveling. And basically what we're going to do is we're going to make about $1.10 or 1.1 alpha UEC per unit we sell coming out here, which is not a bad return, with the exception being that, it's not an exception, but with the caveat being selling is going to take much longer to do than buying. So depending on where you go, the locations you go to, they're going to have either a limit on how much of a product they're going to buy at one time or how much of a product they can sell at one time. So for example here, these R&R stations, they will buy a minimum or a maximum of, I believe, 1,000 units or 10 SCU worth every roughly 45 to 60 seconds. So you can come in here and you can sell 10 SCU worth, and then you got to wait about a minute. And then you can sell 10 SCU worth again, and then you got to wait about a minute. Then you can sell 10 SCU again, then you got to wait about a minute. So there is like a slowdown on that return because of that. And that has to be taken into account, especially if we were coming out here with, say, a Freelancer Max, the one with the far larger, almost double the capacity, or God forbid, a Caterpillar. We'd be out here for days selling these things off every 1,000 at a time, or every 10 SCUs at a time in order to get rid of it. Other places will also only do a minimum sell, like they are producing it. And this is mainly, we're talking about the Widow product, which we'll talk about here a little bit more in a moment, where they only sell it 2,000 at a time or 2 SCU at a time. Or is it 20,000? It might be 20,000. It's 20 SCU at a time. Yeah, because it's 20,000, 20 SCU worth at a time is all that they sell. So you go down and you can buy 20 SCUs, and then you got to wait around about 90 seconds, and you can buy 20 more SCUs, and then you got to wait around about 90 seconds, and so on. So there are these things. It's more of a problem with the selling than the buying. When you're buying, the bar maxes out. When you're trying to sell a product, though, it doesn't tell you if you've gone beyond what they can actually buy. It just kind of errors out. So we'll come in here, come into the admin office, and I'll show you what I mean. When we get in here, we're going to be working on the terminal on the right there. And if we go to sell, so when we hit the sell button, you see it should automatically populate with our ship. It didn't actually. Okay, that's fine. But normally it'll populate with whatever ship you have there and whatever supply you have. Something to keep in mind. This station, the R&R station, they will buy more than just medical supplies. The thing is, we can only see what we currently have available to sell. Like, there's no chart saying, hey, we're looking for this. There's nowhere where there's a demand from them. If you want to see everything that a station will buy and you don't want to use the chart before, you basically got to fly around with a ship with like one of every single item on it, and you can go around all the different places, and then you can see what they're actually buying it for. In fact, this is how they create the graph that I linked before and showed on the screen. It's you fly around with a Connie with one item, one of every item, and you hit all the different locations, and then you can see what they're buying and selling. So here we go. We're going to go ahead and we're going to sell these medical supplies. And if we take this out to say 1,000, because I know it'll do 1,000, and we do sell, got it. You'll see our credits went through. It actually said, and we got our updated credits up top there. So we did gain our credits on that. We gained 110 alpha UEC for that because it was $1.10 or 1.1 on it. Now, if we go ahead and we try to resell again, if we don't give it enough time, I'm using the arrow keys here just to bring it down, dial it in. It's a little bit of a pain in the butt when you're doing this little bit. If there hasn't been enough time that's gone by and we sell another 1,000 units, what'll happen is the terminal will just kind of time out. It'll do several different things. Either it'll just say processing and nothing will ever happen, or it will kind of just do nothing. So here we go. I just maxed it out in order to show you. So we're trying to sell more than they can buy right now. So just saying retrieving, and it's just going to kind of sit here and do nothing. If this happens, your best bet is just to step away from the terminal, reapproach it. Now, when you reapproach it, if you look at the top, it still says sell, but it actually doesn't default back to the screen. That was actually the buy screen. So click buy, then click back over to sell, and then you can see we'll come back in here. Now, when that happens, when you try and drag it all the way over and you give it too many or whatever, it doesn't actually take it out of your ship. You don't lose it. There's nothing to worry about there. Or the other one that can happen is this unrefined one right here. So this is, again, we tried to sell more than they'll accept, and it just says undefined. And you get all kinds of crazy numbers. And basically what it's saying is we can't buy that many of the product. So now, basically what we do is we just settle in here and we sell roughly 1,000 every 30 to 45 seconds until our cargo hold is empty, at which point we can buy from these guys something, maybe take somewhere else and sell. You know, ideally you buy from A, you sell at B, you buy at B, you sell at C, you buy at C, you sell back at A, and you get a little loop going or something. That'd be ideally what you want to do. Okay, like I was saying a few times now overall, the actual return on these smaller items, unless you're running a Caterpillar, is not great. You're not going to make a whole lot making 30 cents on the dollar or whatever. It's not even 30 cents on the dollar because it's like 3 cents on the dollar is what you're making here. You know, we spent, hang on, I'll just double check my chart so I get these numbers correct. We spent 17 to buy, and we're selling for, what are we selling them for? 18 watts. We're making $1.10, $1.11 for every $17 we spent before. So 17 cents on the dollar, which isn't bad, but it's not great. Now, if you have a Caterpillar where you can sell thousands and thousands and thousands of these, that return can be okay. But even here with the Starfare, we're only going to make like $6,600 for this entire run, despite all this time it's going to take to put in here. That's where Widow comes in, and Widow is different. So Widow is a narcotic manufactured on selling on a location called Jumptown. And it's not anywhere on the map. There's no navigation coordinates to find it. You have to know where it is, go out and get it. And you can buy the Widow, and you buy the Widow for 15 and it sells for 24 or something like that. Hang on, I can go back and double check again. So Widow's bought at a bottom 14.55, basically 15, and sells at a max of 25.10. So you're making about 10 alpha UEC per item you're moving, not per SCU, per item that you move. So that's by far the most. Like the next highest is $2 and some per unit you move. Widow is by far the most profitable one. There's a lot of risks associated with Widow though. So first you got to find it. When you do find it, there's going to probably be other people there getting it. And Widow is the one I was talking about before, where you can only buy 2,000 at a time. Well, sometimes people don't like to wait, so there'll be a queue of people lined up, and then people start shooting, people die. If you have your ship and it's loaded up with Widow, it could be even just a Cutlass. It's holding something like 60,000 credits worth of Widow before you sell it. That's your cost, 60,000, where you'll get like an $80,000 or 80,000 credit total return. You'll get like 20-30 profit. So your ship's just kind of sitting there with a lot of other people coming. So there's hazards in that. There are role players that'll come in and they'll just sit in the back and they'll get a sniper rifle out, and as you're coming out of the building, they'll shoot you. They'll let you go in. You can go in, no problem. When you're leaving, as you're coming back out, they'll try and kill you because now they figure your ship's loaded up, and they're going to kill you and not take your ship, because there's nothing for them to gain from that. You can't sell, like if you steal someone's ship and it has cargo in it, you can't sell that cargo. It's kind of, although you're in possession of the ship, you don't have property rights on the ship. So when you land it on a landing pad, it doesn't see it as yours. So it doesn't populate in the sales terminals. So they're just kind of griefing you. Other people will just kind of orbit around and they'll shoot down your ships as you're coming and going, or they'll demand payment in order to allow you to pass. So there's a lot of risks associated with going out and buying and selling Widow. It also has limited places you can sell it at. Like you can't sell it at Port Olisar. But if you are willing to take those risks, there's a lot of profit to be made buying and selling Widow. So much so that it's generally worth it. What I like to do is I get up to about 100,000 credits. Once I have 100,000 credits, I'll go over and I'll buy one stack of the Widow, meaning the 20 SCU of it, which is going to cost me like 40,000 credits. I'll then take that and sell it, and I'll take that 100,000. Now that 100,000's 140,000, and then I'll do 2 stacks, and I'll multiply it out that way. That way, if I lose it, I don't lose everything. That's personally the way I do it. What we're going to do now, though, is another video. I will show you how to get there, because there's 10 minutes involved with just describing how to get to Jumptown and all that. So that will be in a separate video that will actually come out the same point as this, just splitting it up to keep it a little bit shorter. But that is the crux of the selling. You know, you got to be a little pay attention with the maximum and minimum amounts. Sometimes if you're getting errors or whatever, don't freak out. You haven't lost your cargo. You just got to back out. You probably tried to sell too much, or you were selling it too quickly. So either sell less or give the system a little bit of time to process for their demand to open up again. Check the spreadsheet. But for the most part, it's Jumptown to Grim Hex or Jumptown to Loreville. That's kind of the route you want to go, depending on how much cargo capacity you have, with risk. So hopefully that helps. Until next time, this has been Paler. If you die and your ship is sitting on a landing pad, it will stay on the landing pad, right? And it will be despawned in. So if your ship is stored at a current location, your cargo is stored with that ship. That is important to remember. So say you were leaving Grim Hex and you died, but your ship was still sitting at Grim Hex with your cargo in it. Fly back out to Grim Hex, get your ship, it will still be there. If you insurance claim your ship, you lose the cargo. Similar to the weapons that are on it, what you're doing is you're saying that ship is gone, give me a new one of this model with this, the default loadout and everything. You don't get to get that cargo back. So the last thing you want to do is have a freelancer or a Connie or something packed to the brim with Widow and then have to insurance claim it, because that's just lost money. So you want to do everything you can to go back out and get that ship. Don't just insurance claim it if it's avoidable. If it's been destroyed or whatever, well, it's been destroyed. You got to insurance claim it. And I think that's the last little nuance. Yeah, till next time, this has been Paler. Thanks for watching.